Yeah, so this is T25sports.com. We put our rankings in there every week. If you see this or if you see it on Twitter, you should do it. It's super fun. You get to see, you put your ballot in, and then it like goes into our own like AP Top 25 where everyone's votes matters and everyone's ballots matters. Super fun. I'll go ahead and lead us off, I guess. I think last week we started with Jack or JP.
Started with
I
me
went last.
week.
I'll go first. I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack because the biggest stuff I caught flack for last week hasn't really changed. Big movers. I moved Miami up 1, I believe, from 3 to 2. That was off a win against. Did they just beat Florida? Right. At home, they beat them in Miami. Actually, sorry, no, they stay the same. I couldn't remember if I had them at 2 last week. So they're still at 2. Georgia's at 3. Oklahoma moves up 1, and Florida State. Both those teams move up 1 because I punish LSU a little bit because their big Clemson win is looking worse and worse every week. Punish them a little bit, drop them down to 6. LSU's still a very good team with a great defense, but the Clemson win, which is like their marquee win, doesn't mean as much. I punished Georgia Tech the exact same way, dropping them down to 11th. So LSU and Georgia Tech both suffering because Clemson is now looking more and more fraudulent. A&M moves up to Indiana and Texas Tech with 2 huge wins. We'll talk about both those games later on. Indiana made Illinois like an FCS team, which is crazy. We all picked Illinois to cover going into this game. I think I picked Illinois to win. I don't know if we like said that verbatim, but like I felt good about Illinois coming into this game, and Indiana just made them look silly.
FCS
Texas
team is too much.
Well, I'm just like, as far as like the score goes, like it looked like an FCS score, and like it like 63-10 is like, I mean that's how much we beat. I mean we beat Alcorn State 63-0. So it was an embarrassing game.
Much.
Yeah. Wait, too much, like too complimentary to Illinois?
No.
Too
Disrespectful.
It's
Okay.
disrespectful.
Okay, cool. Well, Texas Tech moves up, big win over Utah. And then I've got Oregon and Penn State at 12 and 13, 2 very good teams. I still have Penn State. Like I would pick them to win the championship. They just haven't played anybody, which is why I'm not going to have them ranked above teams who have beat teams that I consider to be good. Same goes for Oregon. They've looked fantastic. They might be the best team in the country. What else do I have? Teams that jump into the top 25: Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and Memphis, 23 to 25. And that's kind of it. The teams that dropped out, I dropped out Illinois. I dropped out California and UNLV. California, a wild late night loss to
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Thank you.
Yeah.
A big Pac-12 win for San Diego State. Who else did I drop? That's all I can think of.
Well, Illinois fell out. And
Utah and
fell
Illinois
out.
both dropped from 12 and 13 to unranked. So, yeah, that's my top 25. Y'all's thoughts? Fire away.
I mean, I hate the placement of Oregon and Penn State. That's kind of what jumps out to me, disregarding. I mean, you dropped Vandy a couple spots, so they're maybe falling into a little more reasonable range. And I get your thought process of, like, they've not played anyone, but I still just disagree with it because they've handled their business very well. Oregon's looked fantastic, especially. So that's kind of really what jumps out to me is having them at 12 and 13.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
And, like, and I know there's going to be pushback on that. And when I made my ballot, like, I kind of have to be okay with that. But I think that there are other teams who have looked fantastic against lesser opponents and then had a P4 opponent or even a top 25 opponent that they've also beat or dominated. So I think that's why I kind of give nods to those other teams right now.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon technically does have a Power 4 win.
Yeah.
Right.
And they dominated that Power 4 opponent.
It was not
So-
Oregon State. It was.
Yes.
Well, that's not a Power 4 win.
Well, they also beat Oklahoma State as well.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So, I mean, that's a dominant Power 4 win.
Yep. I mean, they were right on the verge of the playoffs only 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Sure.
JP?
A long time ago. It was the year after COVID. Yeah, Oregon and Penn State placement is just, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I guess going forward, your top 25s are just resume based. Just resume based.
For probably the majority, yes. But like
Okay.
the resumes will become more rounded as we like teams play more than just their out of conference opponents, if that makes sense. Because then you'll be able to, like, they'll have played a comparable level of competition, and that's when I can start to like take into account how they looked against.
So you think Vanderbilt's better than Oregon?
No.
Okay. I don't understand Oregon being ranked higher than Vanderbilt. That's one where you could get outlandish. One you could get in the
I don't
weeds
have
with
Oregon
is like
ranked higher than Vanderbilt.
you have Vanderbilt
He
ranked
flipped it.
higher than
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oregon, and asked if you
I-
thought Vanderbilt was better than Oregon.
No, I don't think that. This is not a power ranking. This is like
Okay, I misheard you. My
no,
fault.
you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
I may have
that's
misspoken, but
that's terrible. And the Oregon and Penn State, I completely disagree. I guess other than that, no problems. I don't like this way of ranking teams, though. I don't think it's the right way to rank teams, at least.
Yeah.
I completely understand resumes, but at this point in the season, resumes can't mean everything. And as you said, resumes can clearly change, which is why you've dropped LSU, because the Clemson win doesn't look as good as it did. So are we sure the Vanderbilt win over South Carolina is going to look that good in a month? I'd hope to see Vanderbilt
no,
drop
that's
by
why
then.
I did drop Vanderbilt too, because South Carolina goes and loses to Missouri, so I turn around and drop punish them because now their resume looks worse.
Yeah, but it's also
but
like their resume looks worse,
but
right?
in
So you
the
drop
same
Vandy,
time,
but
you've-
Missouri jumps in because they beat the South Carolina team
Yeah.
that you're
Yes.
then discrediting Vandy for. I feel like it's I get your logic. I think it's almost an impossible logic to like play out as the season progresses.
Yeah,
like
it
it's
is-
and it's impossible to not be contradictory throughout the whole thing.
It's too reactionary too. Indiana, like last week, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech jumping into top 10, and now this week with Indiana, Texas Tech. It's just too reactionary. I don't think you actually believe that Indiana, Texas Tech, and Vanderbilt are all top 10 teams in the country. I just don't think you actually believe that.
No, I don't.
But you're saying they have top 10 resumes,
Right.
Yes.
And I hope that like I'm trying to kind of balance it out, and maybe I probably am being too reactionary right now, but like the hope is I'm trying to give respect to teams who have done these things early, so that I'm not just like continuing to rank Oregon and Penn State top 10, because I don't want to like leave teams out later because I didn't give them their props early in the season, if that makes sense.
Kinda, but also like in my thought process, like Indiana made a big jump for me. I actually have them top 10 too. So yes, it's very reactionary, but I'm not going to necessarily disagree with that one. But like, if someone proves me wrong or like didn't give them props earlier in the season, like, well, let me say this: if I don't give someone props early in the season, they're eventually going to prove me wrong, and then I'll rank them, and I'll say I admit my mistake, or they'll prove me right and they'll lose, and it just doesn't really end up mattering. Like, I don't really know if I see the need to like try and force teams up high to like make sure I don't like leave them out. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and now it makes me think about next week with Oregon and Penn State playing. Are Oregon or Penn State going to drop out of the top 25, losing that game? It kind of feels that way with how reactionary this rankings can be. If Mississippi State beats Tennessee, are we going to jump into the top 10? The same
We'll
question,
probably
I
number
guess,
one
for
if I had to guess.
for Alabama, if they were to go up there and beat Georgia, maybe they should be in the top 10, but are you going to put them in the top 10 as well? Well, does that mean Indiana, Texas Tech had bad weeks? I mean, Texas Tech beat a really good Houston team, we would assume, next week.
Yeah.
An
So-
undefeated Houston team. So
it's just too reactionary for me, and I would understand it if Oregon and Penn State had looked like, Clemson has, but they still had won the games. Like, they were close with Villanova, they were close in the Civil War, they were close with Oklahoma State. They're dominating. Penn State hasn't covered any of the spreads, but the spreads have been 43, 43 and a half. Like, it's big spreads, and they're still dominating. They can only play who they're supposed to play. I unfortunately think that both of them are top 5 teams in the country with the way they've looked out there on the field. They can only play who they have scheduled.
Sure.
So I just don't. It's just a little bit too reactionary, and I don't think it's actually taking into account what the actual teams are.
Yeah.
And how good the actual teams are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will be trying to like level that out as we go and we get more context. Like I said, because these teams have played such varying levels of competition, in my opinion, it's really hard to rank how a team looks because we looked really good against Alcorn State. We dropped 63. We're not a top 10 team. And so when you play such varying levels of competition, it's why like your record is not what you like. It's just hard, I think,
Sure.
to really say, well, a team looks good. Yeah, they're playing a really bad team.
I think an FCS opponent is like kind of a different category than
Yeah.
like saying you've played like bad FCS. Like I'm willing to be like, I agree. Like if you beat up on an FCS opponent, like yeah, probably throw that data point out. But like if you can go just week in, week out, beat up on, even if they're not great FBS teams, like that's got to mean something in my opinion.
Oregon's got 2 Power 4 wins,
Correct.
and I personally count Oregon State still as a Power 4 win, so 3 for me.
Yeah.
They've dominated all of those except the Northwestern game, but they gave up a late touchdown that Northwestern covered the spread with. They were really up 34-7 in that game. The Oregon one is the one I had the most problem with, not the Penn State one. The Penn State one I can kind of understand.
Yeah.
Can I last thing because I don't want to just like we got to move on.
No, you good.
I'm an anti-Texas fan, right?
Mhm.
So Texas has lost the game,
Mm-hmm.
has not looked good against subpar opponent until this weekend against Sam Houston State. They had a big opponent or put up a massive score line. So like, how are they sitting at 15? Because horns down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country said that they have the best loss in the country.
Is that what your reasoning is?
That's probably part of it. Is like their loss was still a very close loss to the number 1 team in the country. So giving them that benefit of the doubt. Also, they are a very talented roster, if not the most.
But
talented.
that doesn't matter here.
It matters. It doesn't. It's not like I said. It's not. Like maybe I take those things into account subconsciously, and that's why I haven't
Sure.
dropped Texas more. But like, I'm not consciously being like, oh, my ballot is 75% resume, 20% talent, and 5% eye test. Like, I try to do it like it's a mostly resume based, but I there are probably other aspects that like sneak into it subconsciously.
Sure.
I'm not consciously trying to include other weights and measures.
Cool. All right.
Tucker has some questions.
Yeah.
Let's answer 'em.
I was about to move on, but yeah, answer the question,
He
Sanders.
said that I will absolutely not be putting Alabama in the top 10. We will find out in like 6 days, or I guess 7 days. A week from today, we'll find out.
In Sanders' ideal world, he just doesn't have to even like.
Yeah, in
face
my
that
ideal
problem.
world, that's not a problem I have to face. We will be covering that game, and I will be picking Georgia to cover. I hope that they do, but I hope I don't have to face that problem. Let's see, what else did he say? Has Penn State done more than Ole Miss? Honestly, realistically, probably not. Ole Miss's win over Tulane. I like Tulane. That was a good win for them. I can't remember who else Penn State. The only game I can remember Penn State having played is the Villanova game, off the top of my head. No other like big games stand out. Are they only 3-0? They played 3 games so far. They had a bye week this last week. That's how. Yes, Penn State did have a bye week. They played.
I think so, but
they
I didn't
played
know.
Nevada,
Yeah.
FIU, Florida International, and now Villanova.
Watch out for FIU, man. That's a quality squad down in Florida.
Yeah, so I would say probably not. But I mean, I'm not really going to defend myself there. They are 1 spot apart. I don't know if you're going to get nitpicky over that. I mean, you're welcome to, but it's 1 spot apart.
Sure,
so
sure.
I don't feel too much need to trying to defend that.
All right, we'll shift the spotlight.
Move it
now.
on.
We'll
Who wants to go
shift
next?
This, unless you want to give one last. But
No, I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good. I've talked for
I
probably
can go next. I can
10
go
minutes.
Next. Yeah.
All right,
We'll
Jack,
get
you're
the
up.
spotlight off of you. Biggest changes for me is Utah drops out after their loss, and I didn't have Texas Tech ranked, so Texas Tech makes a big jump to 14.
Here, let me pull up your ballot over here
That'd
so you
be
can see.
great. I believe they make a jump up to 14, and Utah drops out, and then Indiana makes a massive jump into my top 10. And Illinois falls not out, but they dropped 13 spots down to the 23rd team in my ballot. Other jumps or risers, I mean, Tennessee's crept up a little bit. Texas drops another spot down to 10, mainly because Indiana makes this massive jump. But realistically, not a ton of movement in my top 25. The teams that join, Missouri comes in at 24. Hail State, Mississippi State, I have them ranked at 25.
Let's go.
And then I already mentioned Texas Tech and Indiana making their jumps into the top 25. So that's what I have. I think my top 7 is the exact same.
Yes, your top
8 are
has
the
not
exact
changed.
same.
Yeah, I mean, my one Illinois, how do we feel about the Duke win now, and then a beat down against Indiana? And the game, I didn't watch the whole thing because like once it got big, I started watching other games.
Sure.
But I mean, maybe there's an argument to be made there that it fell apart early, and then the like. Not that it was closer than the score dictates, but like if you played that game like 9 more times, it would not play out the same way. Because that's how I feel. Like my go-to example is like the Georgia TCU championship. It was like 65-7, 63-7. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like 60-something to 7, a huge blowout. I think if that game's played like 9 more times, it's a lot closer every single time. Maybe that's an argument to be made in the Illinois-Indiana game, but like, what's the thought process for still having Illinois ranked? Like, because you still think they're a top 25 team, I guess.
Yeah. So Indiana makes this massive jump. I now view them as a top 10 team. Very, very impressed with what I saw on the field. They very much look the part, right? And so then I go, if I view them as really that good, yes, I know Illinois got spanked, but it's 1 week, and I've liked what I've seen from Illinois other weeks, and I think there can be a massive or a big gap between top 10 teams and teams in like the 23, 24, 25 range. Like I don't expect the 23rd overall team. I mean, sure, I like them to, I expect them to have a game closer to the 63 to 10, but I don't expect them to go win at the 9th best team in the country. Like that's not supposed to happen. And then also talking about the Duke win, Duke did go beat NC State this weekend, who I had as a top 25 team. So you go on the road and beat Duke. I still think that's a pretty solid win. I'm just not ready to drop them out and think they're not a top 25 team yet, as bad as that loss looked.
That's fair.
Saturday.
The other thing would be, I'm trying to figure out like the Texas Tech thing, because like they beat your number,
16.
they beat Utah number 19,
yeah,
and jumped from unranked to 14. And then Michigan beats Nebraska, who you didn't have ranked. I don't know how you feel about Nebraska, but like they were both like road wins. Texas Tech moves up like 11 spots, 12 spots from unranked to 14, and then Michigan drops one. So like, what's the thought process there?
As much as mine is mainly power rankings, there are some resume aspects to it. Michigan does still have a loss, so currently that like somewhat caps their ceiling.
That's fair.
Unless they went and beat like Oregon or Penn State or something like that, but they beat I probably would have had them top 30, top 35 last week in Nebraska. They go beat them, close game. Texas Tech just kind of dominated Utah, had that game from the get-go aside from turnovers, and then just ran away with it at the end. And I just came away very impressed with it. My hesitation on Texas Tech was I knew they were talented and they'd look the part against these weaker teams. But it's hard to assess a transfer portal team, a team that's come together in the portal, because this doesn't always work. But what I saw on the field against Utah, a team I do like, and they dominated them, I was like, okay, the pieces have come together. The offense is ready to play. The defense is so good. That defensive line is great. So, like, I was very happy with what I saw. So feel very confident in them being a top 15 team right now.
Yeah. Cromie asked, and yet Notre Dame has 2 losses and is ranked ahead of Michigan. I feel like I'm not even going to attack that one because, like, while I don't have Notre Dame ranked, like, I get it. Like, Notre Dame is just still a good team.
It's also like we had the argument last week. So, and then
not going
really
to hash it out again. I just wanted to point out Cromie mocking you.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, there's talking about you, the way you do it is, like, very hard to not be contradictory. It's kind of the part of doing a ballot of, like, I can say I do it this way, I can say I do it that way. A lot of ways, at the end of the day, it's who I think are my top 25 teams, and that's like what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and pull things to keep me objective, but it's my ranking at the end of the day. So,
yeah.
Thoughts, JP?
I don't know. I'm surprised with the the not changing of anything in the top 8. I thought Oklahoma could potentially get some kind of jump. LSU I think is just a little bit too high.
Sure.
Sitting there at 3. I think Miami played better than LSU did against Florida. And Miami also has a win over one of your ranked teams in Notre Dame. Clemson obviously is not ranked anymore. kind of expect Miami to be higher than LSU. And then the Penn State is in there in the middle. I'd flip Penn State and Oregon. I think
Do Miami and LSU now have two? No, just the one common opponent, Florida.
just Florida.
Yeah.
I would flip Penn State and Oregon.
Fair.
Personally. But other than that, no issues. I mean, no alarming changes. I think Cromie makes a good point. Notre Dame might, I thought was too high last week, and I still think
Sure.
is too high. Last week after they were kind of in a shootout with Purdue, although they almost doubled up on points of Purdue, but no issues for the most part.
Sure. I'll touch on just kind of your minor grievances real quick, and then we'll get to yours. I'm in love. That sounds gay, but like I'm in love with the LSU defense. I think it's so good.
Sure.
And considering their previous issues, I would rather them currently be an elite defensive team and have some issues offensively, because I have more faith in the offense coming around than if it was another year of another bad defense, but the offense is good. And then I just think Notre Dame's offense is so good that even if their defense doesn't come around, because I agree, like giving up that many points to Purdue is not really what you want to see, but you can be a top 20 team with not a great defense, but just an elite offense. Good luck getting top 5, top 10, but they're not there. So I did check, because Sanders always comes with this very different than what we do perspective on it. Well, we have 24 of the 25 teams are the same in our brackets. Difference is I have Illinois, and I don't know who you have instead of Illinois down at the bottom. Arizona State is the flips, and they're both at 23. Interesting. But yeah, we have 24 of the 25 same teams. But anyway, you can reveal your bracket now.
All right, your ballot, JP. JP.
Yeah, your ballot. Sorry, not your bracket.
Yeah, we're gonna do
almost
March
there.
Madness. It's a March Madness show. All
I
right, your
mean,
ballot's up.
I'll probably end up doing bracketology
That'd be
for
fire.
this show, so we'll get there
Electric.
at some point. But we're actually less than 50 days from state basketball, so
That's
yeah,
so
but you don't
exciting.
get to bracketology until really turn of the new year, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna like
I mean,
make
I'll-
stuff up on the get go.
maybe after like the Maui, once
Sure.
I've seen a lot of the good teams, we'll see. My ballot, still Georgia top, still Ohio State at 2. I thought Miami was impressive defensively against Florida, and with how impressive Florida's defense was, again, like Tucker had mentioned, like that was for them to be able to put together a drive if they needed the game and make the statement and really extend the game and keep it out of reach. I thought was a statement that their offense showed up when they needed to, and that's now 2 games where their offense has shown up when they needed it to, against Notre Dame and against Florida. Now we'll just wait for 2 weeks from now when they go to Tallahassee and play Florida State. I dropped Penn State down to 4 because of Miami's performance. And now looking on it, I think I probably should put Oregon at 4, not Penn State. But I'm going to use it as a predictive measure for how I think this upcoming weekend is going to go. Just get out there in front of it. And I just think Penn State's going to win that one. So Penn State's at 4 and not 5. Oregon's at 5. A&M stays the same. Oklahoma moves 1 spot ahead of LSU with, I thought, an impressive performance against Auburn, where not everything was working when it needed it to. You cheat. Auburn kind of gets cheated out of some plays, but winning teams win.
Yeah.
And they won point blank. Like that's the only other way you can put it. Oklahoma won on Saturday, so I've got them moving up a spot. The big drop is Illinois. I'm pretty sure was sitting there at 10 last week, and
14.
oh, Utah was sitting there at 10
Yes.
last week. Utah losing. I have Utah all the way out. They were uninspiring, would be the words I would use
100%.
on Saturday, especially offensively. Devon Dampier looked extremely limited against that Texas Tech defense, which is not something I had seen so far. Definitely surprised me. So they dropped all the way out because of Tech and State have moved up. Florida State, that is. Tennessee moves up to 12, and then I have shout out CT, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders jumping up to 13. I thought they were more impressive than Indiana, and so I have them higher than Indiana. Michigan, I thought, had a really impressive win against Nebraska. I thought Bryce Underwood looked a lot better, and I'm excited to see how that continues to grow with the Red Raiders, the Hoosiers, and the Michigan performance. Iowa State drops for me. Nothing changes all the way down. Arizona State moves up a spot, and then I have the Huskies moving in, and there's a team at 25.
Sure.
That's about it, though, for the rankings. Any questions?
I mean, no major qualms. I obviously have Indiana above Texas Tech, so I view the quality of those two teams differently. But I mean, that's splitting hairs in that aspect. And then other stuff is kind of things we've already talked about. I guess we just need to keep Bryce Underwood away from Sharon Moore. Let Biff run the team. That's all we need.
There were Bryce Underwood design runs on Saturday, and that was a sight to see.
Yeah. I also figured out Biff is a Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream
Yep,
fan,
that was
as I am
huge.
as well. That's my go-to. So that's even more points for Biff.
Yes.
But no issues overall, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm not going to get into it too much. I think it all just comes down to we disagree in our approaches, and that's why we disagree about our ballots. So I'm not really going to hash that out since we're already 30 minutes into the show.